Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down big moments in history. Today, we're tackling a really pivotal one, the war that literally put Herod the Great on the map. So how does a royal dynasty that ruled for a whole century just fall apart in 3 years? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into. It's this incredibly dramatic, fast-paced conflict that saw one ruling family get completely wiped out and another one take its place. We're talking ambition, we're talking invasion, and a massive gamble that honestly changed everything. All right, so first up, a kingdom in chaos. To really get a grip on this war, you have to picture what Judea was like back then. It was a mess. Imagine being a small kingdom stuck between these huge competing empires. Your fate? It's pretty much never in your own hands. So by 41 BCE, Judea had been living in Rome's shadow for over 20 years. Now, Rome wasn't ruling directly, right? They didn't have governors in every city. But don't get it twisted, they were the ones pulling all the strings. They were the ultimate power brokers. They got the final say on who was in charge. And what they wanted, more than anything else, was loyalty and stability. No drama. And this is where we meet our main characters. The Roman leader, a guy you've probably heard of, Mark Antony, he appoints these two brothers, Herod and Faisal. Think of them as managers or maybe enforcers backed by Roman muscle. Their whole job was to support the local high priest, Hyrcanus II, and just keep things calm for Rome. But as you can probably guess, this whole setup, it was about to blow up. Okay, so who are the main players here? The contenders. Because really, this whole thing boils down to two guys with totally different claims to the throne, and they represent two completely different paths for Judea's future. Okay, this really lays it all out. On one side, you've got Antigonus. He's a Hasmonean, the established royal family. He's got the bloodline, the history. He represents tradition, legitimacy. And then on the other side, you've got Herod. This guy's an ambitious political operator, but he has zero royal blood. What he does have, though, are powerful friends in Rome. So it's the classic showdown, right? Tradition versus pure, raw ambition. Section 3. A throne is seized. So you've got this fragile piece, this delicate balance of power. And then it all comes crashing down. Why? An invasion. And not just any invasion. It's from Rome's biggest rival in the East, the Parthian Empire. And, things moved fast. Look at this timeline. In 41 BCE, Herod gets his appointment. Just 1 year later, boom, the whole chessboard is flipped over. A massive foreign invasion just throws the entire region into absolute chaos. And Antigonus, the guy with the royal bloodline, he sees his chance. The Parthians invade, and he sides with them, Rome's enemies. It was a brilliant, stunning coup. In one swift move, he storms Judea, reclaims his family's throne, captures his own uncle, Hyrcanus, and sends Herod running for his life. So now we have Rome's unexpected king. Think about it from Herod's perspective. He's been defeated, his brother is a prisoner, and he's literally on the run. It's over, right? Well, not quite. He decides to make this incredibly desperate gamble, a move that's going to change not just his own life, but the course of Judean history forever. So what does he do? He flees to Rome. And check out the political genius here. He doesn't go in saying, hey, make me king. No way. His official mission, the story he tells everyone, is that he's just there to plead with the Romans to put the old guy Hyrcanus back on the throne. He frames it as being all about Roman interests, not his own ambition. Super smart. So you have to wonder, what's the Roman Senate gonna do about some contested throne in a faraway land? And for them, let's be real, it wasn't about tradition or who the rightful king was. They couldn't care less about the Hasmonean family tree. The only question that mattered was, who's gonna be our guy? Who is the most reliable, the most effective, and probably the most ruthless client king we can install? Who can protect our border from the Parthians? That's all they cared about. And then, in a move that I'm sure shocked everyone, the Senate makes its decision. They don't just agree to help, they appoint Herod as the new king of the Jews. It's just a perfect example of Rome's cold-blooded pragmatism. They totally bypass the old dynasty and just pick the guy they thought could get the job done. Can you imagine? Herod goes to Rome to ask for a crown for his old boss and walks out wearing it himself. What a power move. All right, let's get into the war for Judea. Because look, having a fancy title from the Roman Senate is one thing. actually ruling the kingdom, that's a whole different ballgame. Herod's crown wasn't a gift, it was a claim, and he was going to have to fight for it. A brutal 3-year war was just about to kick off. So Herod doesn't just come back with a crown, he comes back with Roman support and a game plan. You can see the basic steps here. First, get your army together. Then, go out and secure the countryside, piece by piece. While you're doing that, make some key alliances. And then, the final boss, take the capital city, Jerusalem. And here's another brilliant move. Part of that strategy was to win over the Jewish people. So what does he do? He marries Mariamne. Now get this, she's the granddaughter of the old high priest, Hyrcanus, and the niece of his rival, Antigonus. It was an absolute masterstroke. He's thinking, if you can't be born a royal, marry one. He was trying to weld his new Roman-backed power to the old, respected Hasmonean bloodline. Just genius. So, flash forward to 37 BCE. After almost 3 long, brutal years of fighting all across the country, it all comes down to this. The war reaches its bloody climax right at the walls of Jerusalem. This is where Antigonus has dug in for his last stand. So Herod isn't alone. He gets help from the Roman governor of Syria, a guy named Sosius. Together, their huge army lays siege to Jerusalem, and it was a long, tough fight. But eventually they broke through the city's defenses and took it, fighting street by bloody street. It must have been just horrific. And with that, the Herodian dynasty begins. The fall of Jerusalem wasn't just the end of a siege, it was the end of an era. 100 years of Hasmonean rule, gone. A new and much more violent age was dawning. So what happens to Antigonus? Well, Herod knew that to make his own dynasty secure, he had to completely eliminate the old one. So he sends his rival to Mark Antony, who has him executed. It's ruthless, for sure, but from Herod's point of view, it was absolutely necessary. You can't leave a legitimate royal claimant alive for your enemies to rally around. You just can't. So there it is. With that victory in Jerusalem and that final execution, the Hasmonean dynasty, which had ruled for a century, was officially over. In its place was a brand new one, the Herodian dynasty. And this new dynasty owed everything, its very existence, to its patrons back in Rome. Herod had won the war, no doubt about it. But the question on the screen is the one that really matters. Could a king who was put on the throne by Rome ever truly win the hearts of his own people? And, that single question would define his entire long and incredibly controversial reign. It set the stage for decades of amazing building projects, for sure, but also for paranoia, for brutal conflict, and for tyranny. The war for Judea was over, but the struggle for its soul, that was just getting started.